nights that I sat by myself in my room, out my mind, trying to handle my health. All alone on the phone, hoping you pick up the cell. But now I know how it goes when I get your voicemail. Where were you on the nights that I sat by myself in my room, out my mind, trying to handle my health? All alone on the phone, hoping you pick up the cell. But now I know how it goes when I get your voicemail. So many times I've cried, so many times I've hurt, so many times I've tried to.
Hey everyone, Corey with iCrank Disc Golf, and I'm doing it in the bag today. Why? I've never done one, and I figured if you're new, watching me for the first time, you might want to know what I'm throwing. And this is completely from an AMS perspective. I throw consistently like 330, 340, like when I'm going like for distance. I have reached 400, so take everything with a grain of salt with how I describe everything. But if you throw around the same distance, these are how these discs are going to fly for you. First off, we're going to do putting putters. I putt with Adams. These are MVP Circuit Challenge discs. They're very stiff, pretty grippy, honestly, for base plastic. I was putting with Lunas and Challengers before, but I found that I'm super consistent with these. I have small hands, so these are shallower putters, kind of like a Rainmaker. So yeah, these will be very straight for you when you're putting. Next are my throwing putters. I have 3 throwing putters in my bag. Whoops. I have 2 Envies and a Zone. I primarily throw this forehand because I cannot grip it backhand to save my life. I never come out with it cleanly. So that's what this is for. This is the most overstable Envies you can get. It's the Glow 2.0 plastic. And this is a Super Beat special edition plastic, some kind of soft, crazy gummy, super warped. This is my flippy boy. This is the one I'm gonna throw flat, and it's just gonna turn, just like James Conrad's Envies. Next are my mids. I only carry 3 mids, maybe 4 soon. I'm not sure. I have 2 buzzes. I have an ESP, old ESP buzz, pre-Paul Macbeth. I have this sick Z buzz that I got from my buddy Terry. It's his fundraiser. If you want to grab one for one of these, and or Forces, Nukes, anything of that sort, you go to New World Disc Golf Complex or hit up Terry Roethlisberger on Instagram. It'll help him out a lot. He's a buddy of mine. And I throw another MVP Circuit disc. This is the prototype for the Echo. This thing, it's not as flippy as a Meteor, but it's flippier than like a Buzz SS. So it kind of flies, from what I hear, it's like a Hex a little bit. But I can throw it flat and it's just going to slight turn and then pan. Super sick disc. I love it. Now, besides my throwing putters, these are probably the most thrown discs in my bag. My 2 Craves. Now, some people think that these are flippy, like very flippy. Some runs are. This one is straight to understable. Excuse the bag falling. Straight to understable. So if I throw it hard and flat, it'll turn and finish a little bit. Maybe even pan. Depends on how hard I throw it. Now these Fission Craves are sick. Most overstable run of Crave I think I've seen. Maybe the Protons are a little more, no, I hear they're flippy. Maybe the Plasmas are a little more beefy. I'm not too sure. But these, money. 2 most thrown discs in my bag. Next up on the list is my flippy fairway, slow fairway. It is also the MVP circuit disc. It is a Axiom Rhythm. This thing is, I guess you can call it a slow sidewinder-ish. It'll roll if you throw it too hard on Annie. Great for hyzer flips. Super sick beginner disc. If you are just getting into the sport, I recommend if you could find one of these or something like this, maybe the Virus, something like that. Great for a beginner. Great for everybody. I got 2 discs in my 8-speed slot. The first one is my Votum. Ever since I got this from a tournament, I fell in love with it. Thought Space kills the stamp game. This thing is like a slightly beat up T-Bird. If you throw it hard and flat, it'll pop up, ride, and finish. If you throw it hard and flat, it'll ride a little bit, finish. Great fairway driver. You saw how straight it went on one of the holes out in Lake Hawk. It just pured everything. The next one is my Z-Glow Talon. This is basically a utility disc. One of the most overstable discs I've ever thrown. I hit it on forehands, spike hyzers, thumbers. If I wanted something to pan, I never really throw thumbers, but you can do it with this disc. Super sick ledgestone run. Next up for my 9-speed slot, I have a Raptor. This is almost forehand only. I don't really forehand too often, so this doesn't really come out too much. I'll throw it sometimes backhand on a huge hyzer or something that needs to go further than the Talon. But other than that, it doesn't really come out. Then the Insanity. This thing is sick. I just got this from my buddy Justin. I lost my other one in the water at South Charlotte, unfortunately. But most Insanities fly the same, at least in this, Cosmic Neutron plastic. They'll all go straight, have some huge, nice S's to it. You can throw it on an Annie, it'll hold it and pan. Great disc. Next are my, I guess you can call them hybrid drivers. I hear a lot of people say they're 10 speeds. I carry a Vulture and 2 Onyxes. So the Vulture is almost obsolete out of my bag. My Onyxes fly very similar. This might have a little more glide, but the Onyxes are just so good. Great disc though. Great disc, especially when they're seasoned. They'll flip up a little bit. They'll be dead straight and fade. They just go further than the 8 speeds in my bag. My 2 Onyxes though, tale of 2 sides. This Proto Onyx, beautiful disc, got it from my deal. It will hyzer flip with crazy angles. If you throw it way too hard flat, it will turn and burn almost. Doesn't fly like an Onyx anymore. This Big Z Onyx, on the other hand, is dead straight for like 300 feet, finish. Dead straight, 250 feet, finish. These Onyxes, they fly like fairways, but go the distance of a distance driver. I know you always hear pros say that about these like 10-speed hybrid drivers, but it's true, even for AMs. These will go further than any distance driver you have for the most part until your technique gets down. Next, I have a couple of 11 speeds. Now these, they don't fly true to their numbers for AM distance, but they're great discs. They're old school Discraft discs. I have an old Surge SS before they brought it back in 2020. This thing, hyzer flips to ride because it's so old and beat. So don't take that, you know, take that how you want it, basically. Max distance shots, basically, with this thing. I got two old, well, one old, one new school Surge. I got this from a buddy of mine, Justin. You saw him in my first video. This thing is awesome. It is a super neutral run of Surge. Not quite flippy, super straight with a pushing fade. Now this is the 2021, that's not right, 2022, sorry, Surge run for Chandler Fry. He is an awesome human being, bringing back these OG discs, and these also not super stable, a nice straight to finish. Sidearms they feel good for. I don't throw too many sidearms, but my buddy Matt crushes on these old school Z Surges, but he crushes forehands with them. But super sick discs if you can get your hands on them. You can probably still find these out there because it's still 2022, and I'm pretty sure Discraft just launched their another restock. But these old school ESP Nate Doss ones, forget it. My last two discs, barely thrown, but I have a First Flight Hypercane and a ESP Force. Now, you might say, Corey, they're the same disc. Okay, you might be true, right, in some aspects. But this Hypercane is not utility level overstable, but it is reliably overstable. I can throw it flat and hard and it will finish. I can throw it on sidearms with some Annie and it'll fight out of it, even with some wind. But it's not super overstable. Now this Force doesn't really fly like a Force I've thrown. It is a little flippier than a Hypercane. I shouldn't say flippy. I should say straighter than a Hypercane. I can throw this thing hard and flat and it'll go like 330, finish. I can throw it on some flex nut lines. I can throw it on some sidearms, but the sidearms usually for the Hypercane. Feels better. So this thing is not a Force. It's a fraud. Hope you enjoyed my first in the bag 2022. I will probably do these every 6 months or so, as long as if my bag changes up, who knows. A lot of these discs have been in my bag for a while. The newest discs are those MVP Challenge discs. So please like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll see you later.